Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we will understand a key terminologies in machine learning like what is model, features, labels and what is train, test and validation sets and what is overfitting and underfitting. Right, so let's get started. So first let's understand what is model. So model is the heart of machine learning, right? So you can imagine model as in a mathematical formula or algorithm. We train model using our data set, and once model is trained it can predict the outcome for new unseen data. You can imagine like a student learning from a textbook and being able to solve a new unseen problems, right? So if you see this diagram, the model will take input and provide the output. So input will be our features and output will be our labels, right? So let's understand what is features here, right? So features are the building blocks that help model to learn. They are a variable that describe very well our data set, right? So if we consider an example of housing price prediction, right? So if we think to predict the house price, we would require some details, right? So let's say if I talk about few details, so one would be square feet, right? Second can be location. Third can be year built, when the house is built, right? And there are multiple variables or features are there. So these features help model to learn and how to predict, right? So model will take features as an input, and what will be output will be our target variable, which is label. So in this case a label can be actual house price, right? So if we talk about label, so it will be actual house price. I'm writing HP for the house price, right? So here feature would be square feet, location, year built, and based on that we will predict actual house price, which will be our label, right? So in previous video we had learned that supervised machine learning requires a label data. So it is the label and it is the data. Okay, so let's move to further. What is our data set? So data set is a we can consider it as a whole textbook, right? So from which the model can learn. So whenever we are training a machine learning model, first we will divide our data set into three parts. So first is training, validation and test set, right? So if we think test or training set, they will evaluate a model. So let's first understand train set. What is train set? So training set is like a it is a subset of our data set from which a model can learn the patterns and generalize it, right? So if I talk about in this scenario, you can see we have whole data set here and we are dividing in, let's say training set is 80%, validation is 10% and test set is also 10%, right? So you can think training set as a student attending a class to learning a concept. So teacher will taught student the what is we have to learn, right? So it would be our training set. In a validation set, you can consider it as a practice test for the model. So once model will learn from the training set, we will evaluate that model on the validation set. So how well model is performing or unseen data. So as here you can know, so train set is a different from the validation set. So the model haven't gone through the validation set yet in the training process, right? So model will predict some output on the validation set and then we can evaluate how good he is performing on a validation set and how well it learned training set, right? And the test set. So test set is also similar to validation set, but it is a final test. You can consider it as a final exam for a student. So it is also unseen data for the model and model will predict on that, right? So this is all about train, test and validation set. So sometimes people use only train and test data set, right? But it is better when you have larger data, you can divide your data set into three parts: train, test and validation. So it will help to evaluate model very well, right? Okay, so there are next concept. Once we understand the data set, so there are next concept is overfitting. Overfitting, right? So overfitting is basically when model perform exceptionally well on our training set, right? So it is memorizing almost perfectly our training data set, but not generalizing it, not learning concept very well. So it cannot perform very well on validation data set, right? So you can think it like student is able to solve the problem statement which are already taught by teacher, but not able to perform very well on a practice test which is not taught by a teacher, right? So it's called an overfitting. So the another term which is overfitting and underfitting. Underfitting is a reverse of overfitting, I would say. Underfitting. So underfitting is happens when model fails to learn effectively from our training data. So it can be like not learning anything from our training set, right? So you can think like student who is not grasping core concept or leading very poor performance all type of problem statements. It is not learning very well, right? So when model not perform very well on training set, so it will call as an underfitting. And when model perform very well on a training set but not perform well on a validation set, it's called an overfitting, right? So yeah, these are just some fundamental terms in a machine learning. By understanding this, we can get better idea when we will learn the model, right? So these are the concepts which we will require to understand the model very well. Okay. Yeah. So do you have any question about this term? Leave a comment below and let's discuss. And don't forget to like, subscribe my channel. Thank you.